The reason that I focus on narratives is because the feedback from teachers and students is that narratives are the most difficult of all the text types to write. And the rationale behind that is pretty simple. Narratives are wide open. You know, you're writing a procedure. You know, I've experienced this procedure before. You know it in your head. You know there's 7 steps to it. You write it, kaboom. With a narrative, it's wide open. You know, when is my story finished? How long does it have to be? You know, what do I have to make happen in this to make it a narrative? And so we focus on teaching narratives and clawing it back to the original reason why we write, and that is because it's fun. So we make it fun to write. We write a narrative and then we show the students the many, many possibilities that stem from that. You can take a narrative, you can adapt it into a script, you can turn it into a short film.
So we've got to do something to make it up to him.
Hang on, I'm having a brainwave. We're so under tension.
Yeah.
You can turn it into a radio play. You could adapt a narrative into a music video. You could turn it into a comic book. You could have it as an illustrated website. And what do we know about the problem? What would we have if we had a story without a problem?
Very boring story.
You got that right? We'd have a very boring story. We've got to have a problem, haven't we?
Yeah.
You think about all the movies that you guys love. What have you seen? Who's seen what lately? Now, the good thing about Over the Hedge was it was a story where the conflict came in really quickly, didn't it? Because at the very start, what happens? The squirrel's there with his little trailer, and he's in the bear's cave, and he's loading it up, isn't he? And he gets caught. Yeah. And he has to get that back, or what's the bear going to do to him? Kill him. Okay, so it's all about the social purpose. It's all about dealing with boys, for instance, who are reluctant writers because they can't see the point, but these same boys who are reluctant to write or read will race home and watch The Simpsons, which is a narrative and fiction. Ironically, boys hate writing narratives, and they especially hate writing fictional narratives. So we have to deconstruct that for them and show them that there is no difference between what they watch after school and what we're asking them to do here. What else could it be?
Comedy horror.
Bit of a comedy horror? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, mystery.
Mystery, there's a bit of mystery there. So here are our choices: horror, action, comedy, horror, adventure, fantasy, romance, science fiction, mystery and historical. Okay, you guys take 30 seconds. Chat amongst yourselves. The whole process of the writing workshop is aimed at empowering the kids from the start so that they know that the choices about what type of story, the characters, the settings, the whole lot have come from them, the ideas have come from them, and they have voted on them. So we're really instilling a feeling of democracy, and it's about incorporating a team sport feeling. Team sport is really important to kids. They love to feel part of a team. And especially for boys. Boys don't want to be off on a solo thing. They want to be part of a team. So we vote on the story type. We then vote on the setting, and we get all their suggestions. And we've got 20 or so suggestions. They all get voted down, eliminated. Finally, we end up with one. And so they're on at each stage. They're getting more on board. They're getting more enthusiastic because their choices have won. The genre, the settings, the characters, and then finally the conflict. And by that stage, they are so enthused because they totally own the story that they are literally raring to go. It's a really important aspect, the voting aspect, I feel. Let us come up with a whole bunch of different settings and then we'll vote. Here we go.
Oh!
Let's get something a little bit radical happening. Yes?
A deserted island.
Okay, we've got a deserted island.
He's a scientist.
He's a scientist? Do we want him to be a scientist? Okay, let's get a few suggestions then. He could be an evil scientist. One of the reasons why this type of experience works so well for kids is because they understand that they are engaging in a social contract. I come in as an author. They know I'm not a teacher. They know that I write books for reluctant boys, for instance, and they know that some of that subject matter is going to be related to toilet humour. There's going to be fart jokes. There's going to be sewer jokes, that sort of stuff. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is part of the social contract. They know when they work with me that there is an expectation, and my expectations are very high. They will write a narrative in that morning session. There's no two ways about it. Everybody will write a narrative. They will complete a narrative. What I find is, and what teachers have confirmed, I'm able to extract much more work out of them because they know that in return for these high expectations, this work output, they will have free rein to do some really crazy stuff. Now, a lot of this stuff I know would not be acceptable for a teacher to allow the children to write, and they know that as well. But it's pretty harmless stuff. It's you're taking a step back. Yes, you're giving them an inch, but you are the one taking a mile in return. You are getting work out of them that they would never otherwise ordinarily do. What's Mr. Fartley going to say?
A call from Lollipop Island, which he doesn't know that now it has been taken over by a mad professor.
There were beautiful waterfalls and lots of cliffs, but most of all there was a big volcano at the top.
An evil professor, he had a servant.
In the middle section we'll do redrafting. We might do an adaptation into a script. They will all be involved in that, and they know that. Now what's Plumber Man going to say?
What for?
Right away, madam.
Yes?
It could put the bomb in the plunger.
About the toilet paper bazooka?
Yeah.
If we take the narrative, we adapt it into a script as a group. We use the smartboard with a laptop, so all the kids can see as the story is being written. You're writing it line for line with the entire group, and while the narrative experience is a very singular one, which has come out of a group discussion, so you've had the group discussion for the story plan, they've then done their singular narrative, we then move into the next stage where it's back to group. So the whole group is writing one script based on that narrative and turning it into a radio play, which is another really attractive product that they can understand. It gets podcasts, they download it to their MP3 player, and you're off.
Another phone book, and make sure it's dry.
Yes, mistress. Here you are, mistress.
You're not meant to read it, you baboon. I need to find Plumber Man's.
The professor, whose name was Miss Fartworthy, prepared for her final revenge. Who wants to do the voice of Miss Fartworthy? Come on up.
And my most hated enemy. Now give me the phone book at once. Ew! That's nasty. Get me another phone book and make sure...
I think one of the biggest problems that students have with writing is a concept that I call milk comes from milk bottles, and that is that they are used to stories coming from storybooks or television, and they are not a storybook or a television, so they therefore think, where else can stories come from? You know, milk comes from milk bottles, it doesn't come from cows, and stories come from storybooks. And my approach is about reiterating to them and confirming to them the fact that they are the original source of so many potential story ideas, and so they therefore get a sense of the potential for imagination. How there are no rules when it comes to this. You can make up anything, and they're very energised by that. They find that sort of idea very liberating, I think. And you see a lot of kids, especially boys, switch on with that. It's suddenly, you know, now I'm beginning to understand why we bother, which is what the question is always going to be. Why do I bother? Why should I even care about writing a story? This is why.